Hello, welcome back to the Kitchen Table Modeler. My name's Ian, this is my kitchen table where I do all my modelling. Well, it's been a little while since I last posted up a video and I'm really sorry about that, but life, work and everything else has just gotten so busy I've not really had a chance to do much modelling and get in front of the camera and do some filming. So in an effort to put that to rights, I've got a review for you today. If you look over my shoulder, you'll see this huge box, and it is massive. And it's Tamiya's 1/350th scale Musashi Japanese battleship. Now you might be asking, why on earth am I doing a review of the Musashi? Well, it really comes down to the fact that in the modelling world there's been a bit of a buzz because there's been a release of the 1/200 scale Yamato battleship, which looks amazing, and Tamiya have also revamped their 1/350th scale Yamato, and they've released that not so long ago. But there's not much on the internet about Musashi. Now Musashi was the sister ship to Yamato. She was commissioned in 1942 and I think she was sunk in 1944. There was one of three, well, she was one of three of the sister ships. So you had Yamato was a battleship, Musashi was a battleship. The third in the group was not complete as a battleship, and I think she was called Shinano. She was converted to an aircraft carrier, and there's very little known about her because she was lost during the war, as was Musashi. I believe she was lost in the Battle of Leyte Gulf. And the fourth one, that was supposed to be a 4 series of ship builds, was never complete and was broken up for scrap at the end of the war. So it's an old kit. I believe the tooling's from 1974-ish. I'll check when we have a look in the box. But I've also got the white Ensign models photo etch set to add the life, bring the kit from when it was first tooled in the 70s to the modern times. And we've also got a wood deck, wood veneer deck to go on the vessel as well. So yeah, in the interest of showing a different model and a Japanese battleship, I mean these were the biggest battleships in the world with their 18.1-inch guns, bigger than the US Iowa class battleships. In the interest of showing something different and one of the battleships with a different makeup from the Yamato, I thought I'd dig this kit out of the stash and have a look at it. So enough waffling from me, let's get the kit on the table and get the camera down and do the review. Right, so here we are on the bench, and the box is massive. To be fair, it's huge. I don't have a tape to give you a measurement, but it's probably at least ½ a meter long anyway. Well, no, it's going to be longer because if we look at the box, the kit itself is 751.5 millimeters length. So it's 3/4 of a meter long because the box will be the full length of the hull. So what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at some of Tamiya's best box art, in my opinion. An at-sea rendering of the Musashi, probably on a maiden voyage, you know, full lick through the ocean, beautiful sort of seascape, clouds, and escort vessels along with her. So Japanese battleship Musashi, 1/350th scale, length as I said was 751.5 millimeters long with a beam of 110 millimeters. If we look at the side of the box, we've got a rendering on the side, and this is the Japanese writing. This is where I struggle because the box is so huge. And then you've got the aircraft. This is kit number 16. If we look at that, you can see there's a bit of shelf wear on the box itself. As I said, the kit was second hand when I got it. If we look at the other end of the box, then we've got a plan view of the vessel. Huge island superstructure, and then 3 huge turrets with a massive main armament, and then on the rear deck you've got all the railways and cranes for the aircraft, and then same on this end here, just the kit number 16, Tamiya item number 78016, and then star 6500. So let's get the box top off and see what we've got inside. Now, as I said, this kit was second hand. It didn't come with instructions, but the beautiful thing with Tamiya is you can go onto the Tamiya USA website and you can download and print off the instructions, which is what I've got, hence why it's got Tamiya USA on the copyright across the instructions. Now we get straight on top, we see the extras. So we've got a full wooden deck for this vessel. I'll have a look at that later. And then we have got the white Ensign models. This is PE 3528 for the 1350th Yamato Musashi, the ultimate set. So this is a set of PE that I've got for this boat to really bring the detail to another level. The kit came with the photo etch set for the 150th scale Tamiya Yamato kit, which is 53001. So that's a bit of extra bonus PE. And then this is the kit itself. Now when I bought the kit, it was missing the foredeck. So what I've actually got in the kit is we have the rear superstructure and hull. I've got two of them, and then I had to buy the foredeck. As I said, it was second hand when I bought it, and it was missing the instructions in that piece. So I've remedied that, and we've now got a complete kit. So what we get is the two the deck sections in the box. We've got a full length one piece hull, and if you notice here, there is impressions in the hull and grease boxes here. This is for motor mounts, so this kit was originally designed to be motorized. However, I'll just be building at scale. So we've got a one piece hull, beautifully cast, although, and to be fair, this is probably where it falls down, it doesn't replicate the actual joggled plates. These vessels were made with riveted plates, and they had the armor plate fastened on the outside. So if you look at them close up, you'll have plate lines running on them. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the stand 5, and 6 separate bags for all the plastic parts. And then somewhere in here there should be, there's the Tamiya guarantee card. That is instructions for the wooden deck set. There should be somewhere in here the decals. I'll get all the plastic out. What I'll do is get everything out of the box, and then we can have a look at it on the table. There certainly was in here somewhere. We'll have a look at that later, and there was in the kit decals for the flags or the ensigns. Right, so let's start with the biggest piece, the hull. Again, this is Tamiya, so we're expecting that Tamiya have done a good job to get the hull lines in reasonably close fettle. If you look closely at the hull, there is a mixture of covered and open portholes, and we've also got this line running around the vessel. Now that is the degaussing line, and it was put on steel ships to protect them from, or demagnetize them to save them setting off magnetic mines. And then you've got all these covered scuttles running down the side of the vessel, and then we've got the openings for the hangers going around to the rear of the hull. We've got one of the anchors on the side of the vessel, and then we've got the stern. Notice there is quite a prominent mould line that does run right down the middle of the vessel. You've got some mould release marks here, and it's very difficult to see in the light. And it does go up the bow, although I think whoever bought the kit from had started to remove it. Of note, it's got the classic prominent flare of the Japanese vessels, and it's very, very fine at the front, so reasonably accurate for the 350th scale with the bulbous note bow for hydrodynamic effect. So all in all, very sturdy, classic Tamiya part. And if we look in, I don't know if we can see that in the light, this hull was moulded in 1976. So it is old as me, because that's when I was born. So first off, in this bag we have got the clip together stand. I'm not going to take it out. It's the same stand, or same or similar stand that all Tamiya 350 scale kits come with. It does the job, it's nothing fancy. Right, well, let's start with, this is sprue J, and it's got obviously the nameplates. All Tamiya kits come with nameplates that fasten to the stand, and it has the main turrets as well as the fire director on the top. So let's get you zoomed into that beautiful detail. We've got the ladders going up the side, very finely molded. We've got the staggered plate detail as that turret actually had, and then we've got the fastening rings around the gun apertures where the blast bags would affix. Really, really fine detail. If you rub your fingers over it, it's very kind of sharp to your fingertips, so it's, you know it's good. It's going to take a wash beautifully, a little bit of dry brush, and it'll absolutely pop. These, I believe, are the bases for some of the anti-aircraft turrets, and then we've got possibly crane detail or something of that ilk for the vessel. This will probably be replaced in the PE set, but if you weren't going to do that, you're going to build it straight out of the box. It's okay. It'll do what it needs to do, and it's, you know, it's not a one piece with the impression. It is a hollow molding, so you do have the triangulation of the frame there, so it will look good. And if we look at the director fire again, possibly radar on the top, it's nicely molded, so it will take a dry brush and a weathering really nicely if you're just going to build it out of the kit, but obviously I'm going to build it enhanced. So we'll lay that to one side. I'm going to just zoom in a little, I think. There we go. So the next bag we've got contains a number of sprues. And these kits do have a lot of parts. I don't know if I saw it in the instructions how many parts they have, but they're not something you're just going to rattle together. You need to take your time on them and get it right. And also beware of parts falling out of bags. There we go. We've actually got a loose part. So be careful with that and look after it, because if it goes missing, it's going to be a struggle to replace. So we'll pop that back in the bag. So let's have a look. So this is a twin sprue, and this is sprue F. So we'll set the second one aside. And this is one of the turrets that obviously has anti-aircraft guns on the roof. Again, you've got the beautiful moulding around the gun apertures where the blast bag holders are. We've got some secondary gun barrels here. Get it to focus. We've got some paneling here. Not sure what that's for, but it's really, really nicely detailed, nicely molded. There's not much flash I can see on this kit for a mold that was made in 1976. It's not bad at all. In fact, it's very good, to be fair, for that age. We're looking at 46-year-old kit now. This is part of the secondary armament, super firing over the beautiful detail on it. Get the focus. Got the ladders going up the front, and we've got the apertures either side for the turret's own director fire. We have aircraft, so I believe we've got a torpedo bomber here, and then we have a twin seat biplane with its floats, and then one of the catapult launchers here. Now this again will be replaced, but if you're going to build it out of the box, it's detailed enough that if you dry brushed it and popped a wash in to darken down the recesses, it'll look like an open frame just with shadow in the middle. So it's really, really nice. And even if we look at part number 7 and part number 6 there, look at the fineness of those parts. This is a 46-year-old mold. This is quite amazing. It really is. So we've got a single float there for possibly the biplane, and twin floats will be for the torpedo bomber, I believe. But yeah, goodness me, really, really nice. Right, so we've got twin sprues here, so we'll put that one to one side. This is sprue G, and these are the infamous 18.1 inch main guns. So they come complete with the blast bags, and if we can focus, you can see that the bags are naturally drooping down because gravity usually takes its effect on them, and that's molded in. Absolutely fantastic. They're not hollow, they're not slide molded. This is 1976 moldings, but the detail on them is fantastic. Yes, I'll drill the barrels out to make them look hollow, as a barrel would be operational, and it'll really make the kit pop. These are some of the anti-aircraft gun batteries or turrets, and this will probably be the mounts here that they mount onto the side of the superstructure. Now, as I said in my intro, Musashi had a significantly less amount of anti-aircraft guns as Yamato. Whether that contributed to her sink-in or not, I don't know, because Yamato succumbed to air power as well as Musashi, and as well as a lot of other old capital ships in Second World War. So I think no matter how much air power you had and how manoeuvrable your ship was, it was just a case that air power was overtaken sea power. Right, we've got 3 sprues here, sprue H. So we have, I'm assuming these are the anti-aircraft guns to go into the turrets. We've got some davits here. We've got some small Oerlikon size guns, and we've got some hose reel, deck hose reels. We've got some mast or rigging type pieces, possibly more davits, and then we've got some triple anti-aircraft guns here. If we get that up closer, you'll see it. And then we've got some, throw it on the floor, we've got searchlight parts. There we go, sorry about that. Yeah, we've got searchlight parts. Again, oh, and we've even got horns. Very little flash. There we go, we can see on the back there. So, 1976 Tamiya, 46-year-old molds. Absolutely amazing quality for molds that are that old. So more pieces falling out. So the next 2 sprues, one of them is the prop shaft holders. So that's coming off the mold, so we need to be careful with that. So we've got 2 parts here. Now the first part is the rear deck, hanger deck. So this sits in the rear of the hull, and the planes come down into here and roll along into here. We've got the side pieces for the hull with the deck support molded in. Now this may be removed with the foot wedge stuff. I'm not sure, we'll have to look at the instructions. We've got some of the railing here, we've got the anchors, the rudder, and this piece here is the motor mount for when the kit was motorized. These parts here are supposed to be glued on top of the shaft exit points from the hull, and they're for pumping grease in to make them watertight. So that's the part when this was a bit of a toy. And then finally you've got the secondary rudder here, so that's sprue B. And then we've got sprue C. So I believe this is the shafts here. This is some more of the anti-aircraft gun pieces. Another rudder. I'm not sure what these parts are, but they may be something to do with the battery compartment. We've got propellers that are really nicely molded. I'll get my hand behind there and you should be able to see them. There we go, focused. We've got more triple anti-aircraft parts. Looks like one of them's possibly come off the sprue, so I'll have to hunt and find that. A little bit flashy on them. Some of the barrels have been bent, but yeah, as I said, it's a second-hand kit, so you just have to take what you get. And then we've got some double guns there, and then we've got the little whaling boats and lighter boats for the crew, nicely molded. Right, we are actually getting a pile of sprues here. Right. Next bag contains the last 2 sprues. Again, we need to be careful because some of these parts have coming off the sprue. So this part here is the superstructure. So you've got the main sort of conning tower, fighting bridge, top bridge. Comes in 2 halves, so you're going to have to deal with a seam joint down the middle, but that's very common to a lot of battleships. This piece here, if we can focus, will be a bridge top. We've got probably wing bridges here, and parts for the director finders. I'm assuming this is part of the bridge. We'll have a look when the instruction comes. We've got the top bridge here with the parts of the masts on it. We've got a direction finder here, and we've got parts for what I think is a crane here, and parts here for a derrick or a crane. You know, all of them really nicely moulded. I don't know if there's a date or time on this sprue. Don't think there is, but I can only assume it's still 1976. Right, last sprue. There's some big parts in here. So what have we got? We have got the funnel. 2 halves with all the vents along the side. A classic identifier for the kit was only a single funnel vessel. We have another turret top here, beautifully moulded. And then we have the funnel top and other assorted pieces, and possibly part of the rear main mast. A little bit of break on it, but nothing that can't be repaired. And then if this is the iconic part here as well, if we can get it to focus. This is the top of the bow with the hawser lines. Actually should go that way up. Get it the right way and into focus, and then the Imperial chrysanthemum, if I'm pronouncing it right on the prow of the bow. And if you've ever seen pictures of the wreck of the Yamato when it was found, the bow is upright on the seabed, and that is still very visible to this day, 80 years down the line. And then we move on to the deck parts. Again, beautifully moulded. This is was actually an open grating here, but if you don't replace it with PE, a simple wash going into that part will end up resulting in it looking really good. This was rear steel deck, if I remember rightly, and then obviously this has been the main deck, is the wooden deck, which is nicely rendered. However, I have a wooden deck because it far supersedes this. But if you look at all the mouldings on the lower and middle superstructure, they're all very crisp. You can even see the ladder detail on the side. If we can get it to focus, there we go, ladder detail on the side. And then we have a joining system for the front deck where it clicks up and in. It's not a brilliant join, I have to say. It's quite gappy. You can see there's a gap there in it, so there's going to have to be a bit of fettling and basic modelling to make that a better join as what it is. If you weren't putting a wooden deck on it, then you'd really have to make good there and blend that in to hide that as a seam line. Making sure it's blended in and it's okay, and then putting a wooden deck on top will get rid of it altogether and you'll never know it's there. Again, let's get it in context. It's a 1976 mould. It's not bad for then. So the wood deck runs right the way down to the forward end of the ship, and then we've got a metal deck here with the anchor winches and hawser chain down to the anchor chain. Beautifully detailed. You can hear it. It's nice and scratchy, so it's going to take a dry brush and a wash beautifully and turn up really well. And then you've got 1, 2, 3 barbettes for the main guns, and this is your secondary armament here. And this is the way they've set this out: is you have the front gun low, the second gun and the secondary armament staging up in tiers, and this is called super firing. So the second turret and the secondary armament super fire over the first gun turret. So that's how that works. So that's all the plastic parts. So having done that, let's have a look at the instructions. Okay, so we've got the parts and that cleared away, and we're down on the table with the instructions. Now, as I said, this was a second-hand kit, didn't come with instructions, but I do have a printed copy of the instructions. So any Tamiya kit that you're missing instructions with, go on to Tamiya USA website, and there is a facility where you can download and print off the replacement copies of instructions, which is fantastic. So we have the blurb in these first 2 pages, so obviously Japanese, what have we got? English, I think we've got French and possibly German. So it basically tells you that the ship was overall length 263 meters, waterline length was 256 meters, the beam was 38.9 meters, the depth was 18.91 meters, the draft official trial was 10.4 meters, displacement loaded was 72,809 ton, and unloaded, or on the trial, was 69,594 tons. So she was a big vessel. She cruising range was 7,200 nautical miles at 16 knots. Top speed was 27 knots. Shaft horsepower was 150,000 shaft horsepower. Wow. And number of crew was roughly 2,500. So she had 4 turbines, 12 boilers, steam pressure was 25 kilos to centimetre squared, and the temperature was 325 degrees C. So yeah, big ship. So main armament, main guns were 3 turrets containing 3 46 centimetre L45 triple barbets. Secondary armament was 2 15.5 centimetre triples, and the high angle guns was 6 12.7 centimetre double barrel guns. Machine guns was 35 25mm triple barrel guns, 26 25mm single barrel guns, and then she had 13mm double barrel guns, 2 of them. Planes, she had 7 scout planes and 2 catapults. Radio detectors, she had Type 21, 2 of those, Type 22, 2 of those, and Type 13s, 2 of those. So yeah, she had searchlights and everything, and she was sunk. She said she was sunk in October 1944. Yeah, so I got that wrong in the intro. She was actually sunk in 1944, so towards the end of the war, but before the Yamato. But what an impressive set of figures. We've got the usual Tamiya sort of instructions here, do's and don'ts, how to paint, and then we move into, you know, glues and tools, and then we move into construction. So I'm going to try and move you over a bit, and we'll zoom in some more. Just bear with me. Right, we are zoomed in as much as we can. So part 1, making the stand, which is obvious. So you're going to make the stand, and you're going to put the hole in the stand as you build. Part 2 is the rudders, main rudder, secondary rudder, and then you've got the shaft stanchions, and then you're moving on to the shafts and the propellers all going together. It gives you a nice view from the rear how everything is set in the hull, and it gives you your paint call outs. So X12 for both of them. And what is X12? It is gold leaf. Well, I think the shafts probably would be stainless steel, but hey ho. And you'll have a phosphorus bronze propeller. So part 3. So we're looking at the main armament. Quite a few pieces here. These are the turret zone director finders, and there's the secondary, so main armament. These are hose reels, greeblies maybe, I don't know what they are, but they're hose reels. I'm not sure what the two inner parts are. It's giving you a nice side view of the angle the gun should sit. Obviously the angle on the main garment is set, and then we've got part of the massive rigging structure here going on top of the secondary armament. Moving over to part 6, so we're getting the front hull down on the deck, gluing it in, getting all these possibly torpedo net davits going along the hull side, and then we're getting all the single anti-aircraft guns. So she had a lot of anti-aircraft armament, but Yamato had more. This is the thing, I think the lessons from ship losses as the war went on, as did all the forces, allied forces as well. Right, moving on to part 8, we've got the rear crane being assembled, and then part 9, that's going down onto the hangar deck insert. Some more anti-aircraft guns, some bits and pieces going in there. And then part 10, we're putting these side inlets into the hull and the rear well deck going in. This possibly is part of the mainmast assembly. We've got the fighting top and the director finder going together for part 11, and there's also some details about the boats, the ship's boats. We've got side instructions here about removing parts, so these will probably be common parts between Musashi and Yamato, and these will be parts that Yamato's molded but need to be removed to make it correct for Yamato. They'll be molded for Yamato, need to remove these parts to make it correct for Musashi. We're looking here for part 17. It's giving you a lovely built view of what the superstructure should look like with the director finder radars on it. And then obviously on part 12 we're building director finder radars. 13 we're putting together the main superstructure part. 14 we're getting some gun armaments going on. 15 we're building the upper bridges. 16 we're putting the main director finder onto the top of the superstructure. And then 17 we're putting on ladders and small bits and pieces. Now I'd imagine these parts here may well be replaced in photo etch, but we'll see that when we get to it. However, it's really nice for those that want to build the kit out of the box, the details there without having to worry about it. Right, again part 19, it's giving you a side view to show you the angles and where the part placements go. I'm not sure what it's telling you to do here. So there's something to go on there. Oh, decals. So decals to go on there for where possibly ladders are running. And this is a photographic view of what the funnel should look like when it's built up with the paint colours on, which is really nice. So part 18, we're building some more of possibly the rear superstructure. Part 19 is the second secondary armament, and we're looking at probably the rear turret with the main armament. We've got the funnel, searchlight platform, and then fastening that to the funnel. Then we're moving on to part 22, which is a lot of stuff getting fastened onto the rear deck. It's also giving you the paint callouts for the rear deck. The main part's going down, and then we've got the rear catapults being built. Now, building ships, having built a couple, I would say it's probably better to get the decks down onto the hull, get it all joined together, and then work with these parts, just build them up as they've built them here, sub-assemblies, paint them, and then fasten them once you've got the decks down, because you have to get the wooden, if you're doing it like I am, you've got to get the wooden deck down, which means it's got to go down in one piece, right from rear to forward, and you won't be able to get the deck down if you put all these parts in. And also, if you're painting the deck, it's easy to paint without all these parts on, and you build it up. So long as your fits and tolerances are really good when you're doing your dry assembly, when you come to gluing, it shouldn't be a problem. So part 24, we're building the rear mast or the main mast. 25, we're doing some of the high angle guns. And again, here for 26, you've got a lovely photographic view of the built up model. again for part 27, another photographic view of the built up model, so it gives you an idea as a builder what you're aiming for. Part 27, you're looking at all these directifiers for the secondary and anti-aircraft guns going on. You're looking at all the little small anti-aircraft going on. This is where the detail really starts to pop. And again, when you're doing this, get them all painted beforehand and then glue them on painted, because it will make your life so much easier. Actually building up as a one and then trying to paint these, because they'll all be separate different colours, it's going to be a nightmare. So do it in separate sub-assemblies, and then as you finish them, add them to the kit, and you'll find most shipbuilders will work that way. So 27, you're looking at the parts going on the foredeck and then the parts going on the rear deck. And I should imagine we're nearly at the end of the instructions. So 28, it's telling you rear deck completely built, join it on to the foredeck. I wouldn't do it that way. You're certainly going to have to build all the sort of, I call it the well deck, the underdeck parts first, and then get these main decks down, and then start doing all the assembly once you've done the painting and got the wood deck down. So you're doing it in a logical assembly process where you're just building on the pass step to the point that the last bits you stick on, that finishes the model. We've got here in part 29 as well, I'll get it in view, we've got the colour call outs and the decals for the planes. 29 is obviously making them up. It'll just be IJN green. You've got yellow identification strips on the leading edge of the wings, and then it'll be IJN green grey underneath. Classic colours. And then the painting guide. So it's calling out for TS66, which is a spray can for the deck, what it looks like. TS66 for all of it really. XF25. So I'm not convinced about these colour callouts. TS66, we'll have to have a look at that and see what it says it is. So TS66 is, okay, IJN Grey Curie Arsenal. So I'm sure they do a colour in that in the XF colours or the new LP colours. And that's the end of that. And then on the rear of it, you've got your part sprues, so you can check that you've got everything. And then the greyed out parts are the parts you don't use. So fantastic. Now, as I said, I have a wooden deck for this kit. I've used, it's in its packaging, but if I can get it a bit closer, you can see how, there we go, get it in focus. Look at the detail. That is amazing. It's beautiful. You can stain these decks. These are real wood decks. I use Hunter as the company, so wood decks from Hunter, deck series. And then there's the 1/350 scale IJN Battleship Musashi. And the number for this kit is W35039 for Tamiya. So it's a bespoke deck. They're not just too dear, they're around about the £20 UK mark. There's a number of different companies that do them. I just happen to use Hunter decks because I've used them before on other battleship builds and they work perfectly for me. So basically you've got a wood veneer that has double-sided sticky tape glued to the back of it. You take the deck out of the piece of veneer, peel off the backing and stick it down. Sounds frightening. As long as you take your time and do all the painting, because obviously you've got protrusions that come up through the deck, so you've got your barbettes, your secondary armament. So long as all this parts are on and you've painted them the colour they need to be when you put the deck down, you end up with a beautiful crisp join between the part and the deck, and it makes your life an awful lot easier. You can even weather them before you stick the decks down, and I would recommend you do a lot of that. But yeah, once the decks go down, it transforms the ship. This kit also comes with a little bit of extra parts. So you've got some photo etch there, which are just the hose reels for the deck, which will replace the Tamiya parts, which is fantastic. And then you get a little bit of anchor chain as well. Great kits, well worth giving it a go and buying it and doing it, because it does make such a huge difference to the kit. Now, the other parts I've got for this kit are from White Ensign models. Now you can find them on the internet. They used to be a British company. I believe they were sold. They're now an American company, but they still, when they bought the company, they bought everything, including all the patents and masters for the photo etch. So you can still get this kit. It's not too badly priced. I think it runs in about the £45–50 UK mark at the moment. You'd have to check that. I don't know what the prices are with the way things are going, but you get with this 3 sets of photo etchers. There contains 3 sets of brass. So let's have a look. So it comes nicely packaged in their own little Ziploc bags, which I've just dropped. Happy days. 1, 2, and then the third sheet, which will be the railings, is on its cardboard. Good strong cardboard, so there's no damage going to happen. So let's have a look at the instructions. Let's just put those to one side. So simple A4 printed colour sheet. So this is the White Ensign models. There you go, the IJN Battleship Yamato or Musashi photo etch detail set for the Tamiya 1/350 scale kits. The kit number for this, show the label, I'll show it again, is PE3528. The 1/350 Yamato Musashi Ultimate Set. If you want to pause that, you can read. There we go, you can read that. And then you obviously get your parts list and then corresponding numbers on each of the parts. So obviously there's no numbers printed on the PE parts themselves, but you've got a perfect plan diagram, so you'll be able to find everything. So we have got here railings for the main gun turrets. We've got extra parts to go underneath, and we've got detailed parts to go on the gun barrels themselves, as well as parts going on the director firers. Parts here for the front, probably railings for the front of the secondary armament. And then we have what would appear to be parts for the rigging. Covers for the high angle guns. We've got parts for the twin open mountings. And then we've got parts for the 25mm enclosed. So that's the 12.7 enclosed AA turrets, and then we've got the 25mm enclosed AA turrets. And then we've got parts here for the triple 25mm open mounts. So we've got parts to add to the mounts itself, and then we've got checkered deck to go underneath the guns. Fantastic. Right, we've got parts here for the 25mm single mounts, and we've got parts for the 13mm mountings. We've got cable reels for the deck, and we've got type 13 geo antenna for the direction finders. We've got enhancements to go onto the turret and the searchlights, the searchlight platform. We've got grills to go over the turret, and we've got antenna parts here. We have got a significant amount of parts to replace the radar, the Type 21 radars for the main director platforms, which will look fantastic by the looks of that compared to the molded parts. Now the molded parts were good, but these are going to be better. We've also got the walking deck to go on the front of the director finder with the handrails, and for the aft director finder we've got the same. So this will be for the crew to go out and keep it clean and serviceable. Right, we've got a really nice diagram here of the superstructure telling you where all the different parts go to make it replace it. And as I thought, the kit ladders will be replaced with photo etch ladders and handrails, which will look fantastic. More ladders, and then there's handrails on the decks where they're needed. We then move on to replacements for the aircraft catapults, and then replacements for the ship's crane, which look fantastic, and will look fantastic, because as I say, I've built a couple of 350 scale kits, and the first thing they always want to do is replace the cranes and get real open lattice frame cranes on the decks instead of moulded plastic ones, and it really does make a huge difference to the kit when you build them and put them on. So we've got aircraft handling trolleys, and then we've got the catapult cradles, so we can have planes on the catapults as well on the trolleys, which will really liven up this kit and bring it to life. We've got replacement struts for the floats for the seaplanes. We've got propellers, and we've got radio antennas for the sides of the fuselages. Again, we've got the catapult and the deck trolleys. We've got open deck hatches. We've got hawser pipe covers, so that's the anchor chains where they go down through the deck. We've got turntables, deck vents, and then a guide where to place all these extra pieces. And then finally, yes, which is what I thought, on the hull insert pieces, we cut off the moulded plastic ones and replace them with PE, which again will absolutely transform the level of detail on that part of the ship and really give something for folk to look at when they come to admire the kit. So, other instructions here, and in each part it's a smaller item, but it does give you a description of what you're to do and then the steps you do it when you're building it. So very quite comprehensive instructions. And then we look at the brass parts. Now, first off we'll look at the main brass sheet. So they're calling this sheet C. This was made in 2002. If you can see that in the camera. And we've got miles and miles and miles of deck railings. Beautifully made with a photo etch technique. So it's obviously printing a photoresist on the sheet and then dissolving away the brass that hasn't had the resist on it, and you end up with these fine details. We've got the catapult bases here and here. These are the parts for the director finders. We've got gun mounts, more gun mount parts. We've got handrails for bridges and wings, and then we've got acres and acres and acres of ladders, so we'll probably be able to take all the moulded ladder detail off and replace it with photo etch, which really will make it pop. Here we've got the propeller and the struts for the aircraft. We've got ladders, gangways, and there's parts for the main crane there. Absolutely blown away with the quality of the photo etch on that. Fantastic. And I think I've misled you. I think these parts here will have something to do with the catapults. It looks like the winding gear on the catapults. If I can get it up to you. Yeah, I think that'll be the winding gear on the catapults. And then if we look at this bag here, I'm not going to take the photo etch out of the bag. It's slightly heavier, this sheet. Let's have a look at that. So we've got hatches here, beautifully moulded. This is the catapults, the main catapult part. We've got the checkered deck to go under the gun mounts. We've got the funnel cover. We've got the cradles and the deck cradles for the aircraft. We've got the main crane derrick there. We've got the grills to go in there, set in the deck, and then we've got all the under deck supports that we remove the plastic parts on those parts and replace them with these, and then we've got doors as well, oodles and noodles of doors. And then the final part will be, I think, for the rear director finder, and that is absolutely stunning photo etch. So there we go, that is all the main constituent parts of the kit. Wow, it's going to be a huge build when I get round to it. Let's pack it all away and I'll get the camera back up onto me and we can have some final thoughts. So there we go, Tamiya's 1/350th scale Japanese battleship Musashi with the hunter wood deck veneers and the white ensign photo etch kit. Thoughts? Well, let's get back to basics. This kit was tooled in 1979, so for the age it was tooled in, it was fantastic. Bring that forward to 2022, it's still really good out of the box. The detail is there, it's sharp, it's crisp, the molds have obviously held up really well. So out of the box as it is, it's going to build a very impressive model. Then we add the wood deck veneer, and then we add the photo etch set, and we've gone from being an impressive model to being an absolute stunning model. Yes, this is not a model for beginners. There's no way a beginner should tackle this. This is a model for someone that's gotten into the hobby, cut their teeth, understands the basics for building models correctly, and then has had a bit of experience working with simple photo etch before they bring themselves on to working with this scale of photo etch, because this is small stuff. 100-350 scale is small, but with the right tools, patience and experience, there's no reason why you can't tackle this. So you're taking a kit that was tooled in 1979 up to 2022. It's a fantastic model. Price wise, I mean, I got this one second hand, but retailing new, you're looking between sort of 65 and 80 pounds UK at the moment, and you can always find these on sale on eBay second hand, so there's an opportunity for picking up a deal. The photo etch set, you're looking around about 35-40 pounds, so and the wood deck probably around about 15 pounds, so in the region of about sort of 120-130 pounds, depending on, you know, if you get lucky and get one cheaper, you're going to have an absolutely stunning model, which will give you hours of enjoyment, and when finished will be an absolute breathtaking kit. Would I recommend this? Wholeheartedly, yes. Even if you just want to build it out of the box, just give it a go. Tamiya kits have got renowned build quality, they go together well, and they're superb display models. People are always interested to see something like this on the display shelf. It's something I'm going to tackle, not in any great hurry. I've got a little collection of 1/350th battleships, and I've got a couple, well, one built and one nearly built. So it's something I tackle over a long period of time, and I dip in and out of other models to keep the mojo going, because if you're doing it all the time, I think you probably get pretty scunnered with it. But there's certainly something I really enjoy, and I would recommend anyone that feels that they've got enough experience behind them that they want to tackle one of these, I would say give it a go, because you won't regret it, and it will be a fantastic display piece. So there we have it. If you've gotten this far, thanks for sticking around. If you like the channel, please think about subscribing, giving the old thumbs up and like the video, just to help out the YouTube algorithm. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to put them down below. I always take the time to read every comment and question, and I will always answer you back, and I appreciate everyone's effort and time they put into commenting on the videos. Until the next time, stay safe guys, happy modelling, and take care.